Hey guys, so my name is Chou-Tac from theDesignSketchbook.com, and let's see how to draw 3D volumes. And first of all, feel free to download the Designer Starter Kit to make the first steps in design sketching, such as perspective. Okay, so let's start with our first volume right here, which is going to be a cone. So we will start with a common mistake, which is when you want to draw a cone, you tend to see it quite flat. The mistake that we see commonly is that the corners are going to be too edgy. So that's definitely not what we want, and how we are going to get the solution is to see things in transparency. So when you see the volume in transparency, it means that we will also draw what is invisible from your own eyes. For example, here, how we are going to draw that cone is to draw the bottom ellipse, the bottom surface of the cone with this ellipse, which is basically a circle in perspective. And then you can join the top of the cone. So as you can see here, the dashes are what is invisible. This is what is actually behind the cone, and what we are going to draw is to make sure that is well rounded around that cone. Alright. And even though we know this trick as a beginner, we tend to still do that mistakes. In that way, is like you draw well the first one, but then when you want to bold your cone, then you carry on and making something edgy. So that's not what we definitely not what we want. So how to correct that is that we got a trick, is that you draw a simple hook going behind the cone. So it makes sure that you know well that is well rounded at a 360 degree. Okay. Dun, dun. And actually what we want by doing this kind of this method is not only visually to represent better, but it's also to keep a good fluidity in your hand movement when you draw. So you can keep something like a fluency in your drawing, so it's going to be much more neater, much cleaner, and also more dynamic through your movements. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so let's go to the next volume right here, which is a cylinder, and we will also start with the common mistakes, and that are pretty much similar with the cone. So the corners are going to be too edgy, and which is actually pretty much frustrating as a beginner, because we see things in 2D, we do our best, but then we don't know how to solve this. And even though the top surface you may draw it with an ellipse, which is good, but we tend to forget the bottom one, which is going to be flat, so which is not quite accurate, and something is getting weird. So let's say how to solve this step by step is to start with an axis, draw the top ellipse, then the bottom one, and you connect them. Basically is right here, you got all the steps for a nice cylinder. So first you draw the axis. Second, we draw the top ellipse, but also the bottom ellipse as well, and then you connect them. Okay, so what you need to make sure is that your cylinder is well symmetrical along this axis. Alright, and this axis is also called the minor axis. And when we talk about minor axis, is always go in duet with the major axis, which is at 90 degrees of it. So minor axis is the shortest distance of each ellipse, and the major axis is the longest distance of each ellipse. Alright, so we go a bit deeper into the details, and let's look at a bit more as well for this cylinder. Is that if you may have noticed, both cylinders don't have the same width. The top surface for the top ellipse is thinner than the bottom one, which is much wider. And if you want to draw something in between, so let's see here for the minor axis, double check. Right here, as you can see, it's pretty obvious that the distance is different. So for something which is intermediate, is going to be something having an intermediate distance as well, which is more you go down and more is going to be wide. So let's look at the explanation. So why is it like that? So we are going to explain this with a scene in perspective. Okay, so here this line represents the horizon line, and which is also called the eye level. So whatever will be on the top will be above your head, let's say, and whatever is going to be at the bottom will be below your head. Dun, dun. So let's draw back this cylinder right here, and how we are going to proceed is to draw this cylinder inside a box. So we start with a 1-point perspective setup right here. We will draw our box. Here we go. So if you want to go on more on these steps, you have everything in the designer starter kit, so feel free to carry on there. So now we draw the cylinder inside that box, and as you can see here, the top surface and bottom surface are obviously having different width. Dun, 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 dun. So this is all respecting actually the perspective rules. Dun, 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 dun. So we draw now something in between. Up we project by connecting to the vanishing point, which is the little point behind, where all these lines are converging to, and as you can see here, the width is intermediate. Dun, 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 dun. So more you go down, wider it's going to be. The trick is that how you can better visualize that is that you imagine that each ellipse is a coin. You can try putting a coin just close to your eyes, and then you go down slowly and slowly. You will see that you will see more and more surface of your coin itself. So this is what is happening on this scene. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So from the first cylinder, we have now 3 coins in perspective. Okay. So think like coins. So that's a good trick whenever you feel that your cylinder have something awkward. Check if your ellipses are following this rule like the coins. Dun, dun, dun. So the reason why was simply like from the fundamentals of perspective. And here is just a note, is that actually within the cylinder we could draw a cone inside very easily. Dun, dun, dun. You have a cylinder right here. We keep okay, we got define the height, and then we got keep the bottom surface, and then you can just join and you have a cone. Okay, and if you want to add section to that cone, you also have to follow the coin rules. So this is how it's going to be well in perspective as well. So this is kind of the coin section where each coin has a different size. And you can also draw like trim coins, cone, just by choosing some intermediate coins to link to connect together. Up, I add some hatching on the top to make it a bit more obvious. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's carry on with something a bit more advanced, I would say. So more into details. Let's say you want to draw different views of the cone. So you can tilt your axis and you can put it like oblique, and then you carry on doing the same steps. Dun, 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 dun. But let's say now we want to see something more on the top of the cone. So we carry on the same logic of the cone here, of the coins here. Here we go. So we add more coins, and you have to make sure that all the coins are following the perspective. And each coin actually is basically having a plane, so I'm adding here some contour lines to this cone, and I'm splitting this cone by 2. Up, and I make sure that all these lines are following well the perspective on both directions. And if all these 3 dots are well aligned, it means you have done a great job. Dun, dun. So remember symmetry, remember the coins, and remember perspective. If you have all these 3, you will be able to draw the cones in any angle. But for the last one is a bit intermediate level, so if you have to understand everything just right now, it's okay. But feel free to make a try. Alright, so for the next one is the cube, and this is also kind of frustrating right here when you don't follow the perspective and the fundamentals. So it really takes too long time when you want to reproduce something without following the fundamentals, because it's just like guessing and just like going to be able to see, to be able to draw only from one view only. But if you follow the perspective rules, you will be able to draw anything in multiple angles. Okay, so now if you want to draw a cube in perspective, we start by drawing the front square. So for this 1-point perspective setup, we connect these 4 corners to the vanishing point behind. Alright, and what we call VP. Then the third step is to draw another square behind on the back. Dun, dun. And make sure that all your horizontal and vertical are perfectly vertical. That's a golden rule right here for a 1-point perspective. And you got your cube. Then you just need to bold it to make it more obvious. Dun, dun, dun. So now let's look at a setup with 2-point perspective. So let's say the cube is about in the middle. So I start to draw a line which is at 90 degrees from the horizon line. Then I choose the height and I connect this height to both vanishing points, to the left vanishing point and the right vanishing point. So step 3, I will decide on the width of the cube. So it's pretty much equal on the left and the right because it's pretty much in the center. And you connect each new edge to the opposite vanishing point. And then for the last step, we are going to settle the last stroke on the back. And if it's well aligned, it means also that you have done a great job. Dun, dun, dun. And then you just need to bold it to make it more obvious. And as usual, what is transparent, what is behind, try to do not bold them too much and keep them much lighter to create that contrast. So you're going to have thick lines outside and thin line inside. So let's look at another view of the 2-point perspective. Let's say your cube is more on the left. So the difference is that as you can see here, for the left surface of the cube is going to be shorter and the right surface is going to be longer. As you can see on the top, on the horizon line, this is the same phenomena which is going to happen. And then you just carry on by connecting your dots. Okay, so if your backline is also well aligned, then it's a great job as well. Dun, 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 dun. And if you want to draw a cube which is tilted, you have to tilt the horizon line, and then you can carry on. Make sure that for the edge is also at 90 degrees of the horizon line as well. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So all the lines of the cubes are vertical or strictly vertical and at 90 degrees of the horizon line. Alright, so as usual we end by bolding this cube. So when you bold the cube, it's somehow like all the construction line that has been earlier become pretty much invisible. And now it's time to draw with something more rough, and this technique here is that I started with the top plane, and then for this one I'm starting with a corner, with the 3 axes of a corner. So this is how you can have 2 ways to start your cube in perspective. So here I started with the plane, and this one with a corner with 3 axes. So which is going to give us pretty much the direction. Okay. So feel free to make a try for both solutions and see what you are more comfortable with. So it's really important to go through all these fundamental in perspective using all these construction lines, and then you train at drawing more rough, going through something which is more intuitive, I would say. So you make sure that you have well integrated all these rules. Okay, so now I'm going to draw another box, another cube right here. Up. So it's something that we aim to draw much faster than before with some trainings. And when I got this cube, what we can notice is that what you can draw inside is also the cylinder. So I'm tracing the diagonals to have the middle of this cube, and then I join both middle from the top and below surface, and I got the axis, which is going to be our minor axis for the cylinder. So as you can see, it's all about simple geometry. Dun, 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 dun. Up right here, touch, 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 and touch, and I'm going to redo the same logic right here on the top. I want to touch these 4 dots right here, and also having in symmetry the minor axis. So you have to follow both rules all together, and then you are going to have a nice cylinder. So inside that cube we have a cylinder, and do you remember as well, inside that cylinder we can also put inside a cone. So everything is like a Russian doll, everything can be inside another volume. Dun, 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 dun. So it's all about simple geometry. Okay, so that's it for today, and see you for the next tutorial. So if you have done all these things, we can celebrate. See you. Bye. Tutorial about how to draw ellipses in perspective. Alright, so get ready for the step 1. So draw a box with 2-point perspective, which the front face is a square. So if you want to know more